please hit that subscribe button. Hey everybody, better suited to win the Stanley Cup this season. If you are new to the channel, Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins.
Locked on and he scored! And we're live. Hey everybody, so it's time for another lineup projection video here, and today we're going to be talking about the projected number 4 seed. Obviously that can change in the round robin, but right now number 4 seed in the Western Conference, Dallas Stars. Basically what I do is try and piece together a Dallas Stars lineup and show you what the roster could look like if and when hockey does return for the playoffs this year. And just try and go move guys around, show you where different places guys can play, and try and put some sort of projection together for what this lineup could look like. So before we begin, I just ask that you please hit that subscribe button if you're new. Give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already. That really helps the channel a lot and is very much appreciated. But let's switch over to the cap-friendly screen here and get started with the Dallas Stars lineup heading into the play-in round here. So Dallas is an interesting team and in a very interesting situation. They are a team that really struggled to score all year. They're one of the worst offensive teams in the NHL, yet they're a top 4 team in the Western Conference, and that's because of their defense and goaltending. They were at one of the absolute best defensive teams in the NHL. So as far as the forward group goes, this is a tough one to piece together because there are a lot of moving parts here. This is a team that does not have nearly as set lines as other teams do, where a lot of these guys move around, and this coaching staff is not afraid to move guys around when they need to shake things up and try and get some sort of offense going, because this team, quite frankly, really struggled to score all year long. And these guys, you know, all played at different spots in the lineup on different lines, and a lot of them have been moved around at points this year. And I think they're going to continue to move around in the playoffs, especially if they struggle in game 1, or, you know, they're going to be quick to move guys and change these lines up and move guys throughout this lineup to try and get some combination that can lead to some offense here. So the top line, I think you obviously start with your big guns, your top line that has been your top line for the last few years now. Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin, and Alexander Radulov. Those are your big guns. Those are your scorers. You want those guys on that top unit playing together. That puts Roope Hintz down as the second line center. And I have Denis Gurianov on the left side. He had a breakout season this year, 20-goal season. And Joe Pavelski on the right side. Pavelski had a really down year offensively. Not a lot of production out of him. They need more from him in the playoffs if they're going to win playoff games for sure. Radek Faksa is then your third-line center. I have Andrew Cogliano on the left side and Blake Como on the right. And that leaves Jason Dickinson as your fourth-line center with Corey Perry on the right side and Matthias Janmark on the left side. Then there's a whole bunch of other extra players here who will likely get called up or be healthy scratches. We've got Justin Dowling, Jason Robertson, Nicholas Camano, Joel Liesperance, Ty Dellandrea, Tanner Kiro's seen NHL time, Joel Kiviranta here. These guys, I mean, Dowling's been up with the Stars for most of the year, or at least some of the year. These guys all were down in the AHL, but will get call-ups as the rosters expand. But the big thing with this forward group is the moving parts, the number of guys that can play somewhere else. I mean, you could move Joe Pavelski to center if you wanted to. Gurianov is a guy that could play second line. He could play third line. He could play fourth line. Janmark could play second line. He could play third or fourth line. Same thing with Cogliano. I have no idea, you know, wherever they want to put these wingers, they can move these guys all around on the left side in pretty much any order. Obviously, Ben is your top guy, but 2, 3, and 4 could be any of these guys. I just think with Gurianov's goal scoring, he probably gets the nod on the second line. But you could, if you want to go with a veteran guy, you could put Cogliano up there. I mean, there's so many options on this left side. And really the same thing on the right side. I mean, Como doesn't necessarily, you could swap Como and Perry and play Perry on the third line and Como on the fourth line. I don't know really why you would do that at this point in Corey Perry's career. He's really not much of an offensive guy anymore. But Pavelski, like I said, you could potentially move to center if you wanted to. I mean, that would really shake this lineup up if you made him the second line center. Then that would kind of, Hintz would have to move to the wing, and then Cogliano probably swaps to the right side. I mean, I could really shake this whole lineup up by doing that. I'm not going to do that because I think Pavelski's better on the wing at this point in his career. So, but I mean, you've got options with this team for sure up front. And again, there's a lot of moving parts. And this is a team that frequently does switch the lines up and will put, different wings on each center and try and move guys around and try and get some offense out of this group. Because overall, this is not a high scoring group. Moving on to defense and goaltending. Goaltending's easy. Ben Bishop's your starter. He's your star goaltender. Absolutely your top guy. Anton Khudobin, one of the best backups in the league there, backing him up. And then it's very likely that Jake Ottinger is going to be the third goalie, the AHL call-up, who moves up and is the extra goaltender as far as the Stars are concerned. And then defensively, I think your D pairs are pretty well set. D pairs, unlike the forward group, I think are pretty much in place. You've got John Klingberg and Esa Lindell as your top pair. Your second pair, Miro Heiskanen and Stephen Johns. Great to see Stephen Johns back. He's been through a lot. Great to see him back, and hopefully he can play at a really high level. And then that leaves Jamie Oleksiak and Andrej Sekera as your bottom pair. One of these guys will have to move over to the right side. Oleksiak, I believe, has played on the right before, so maybe Sekera plays the left and Oleksiak plays on the right side. I mean, it's really, doesn't really matter. Guys can play both sides when you're in the NHL. But that's probably your bottom pair. And then as far as extra D-men go, I've taken Roman Polak pretty much out of the equation. I put him all the way down at the bottom because Polak's literally come out and said that he doesn't want to return. He doesn't want to come back to North America. He's back over in Europe. I believe he signed a contract with a team over in Europe, and he doesn't want to return to North America in the midst of everything that's going on. So as far as a NHL player that's probably going to opt out, I think Roman Polak is pretty much a guaranteed opt-out unless something has changed over the past month. But I would say Polak probably opts out and doesn't come back to North America at least for the end of this season. So that leaves Dylan Hetherington, Joel Hanley, and Taylor Fedun as kind of your extra D-men. And there's other guys from the AHL that could potentially get called up as well, especially if Polak does opt out and is completely out of the picture, like altogether, then someone could come up and possibly take that spot from the AHL. But those are depth guys that, if all things go well and you don't have major injury problems, won't even see the ice. They're just extra players because the rosters are expanding. You're going to be allowed 28 skaters, and I believe unlimited goaltenders, or at least like 3 to 4 contracted goaltenders to be on the roster for this. So it's going to be expanded rosters, so you are going to see quite a few guys get called up. But overall, obviously very, very good defensive team, very good in goal with Bishop and Khudobin. And the big question is this forward group and who plays on what line, how well do they play, can they score goals? That's been an issue for them all season. Can they score goals enough to win in the playoffs? If they can't, it's going to be a very disappointing end to the season for Dallas. If they can, this is a team that with that good of defense and goaltending could potentially make a very deep run. I think it's really going to come down to the offense and are they able to score or not? And that's what we're going to find out. But as far as the lines are concerned, I think it's a very fluid situation. There's a lot of guys who can move up and down this lineup. And the coaching staff isn't afraid to shake the lines up if they're not scoring. I think if you go out there in game one and they lose 2-1, then you're likely going to be seeing new lines and new combinations for the second game because they're always switching things around to try to get some offense going. But that is the Dallas Stars, guys. Very interesting team. very good defensive team, as I said, one of the best in the league this year. But on the flip side, one of the worst offensive teams. So as far as how they do in the playoffs, it's going to be interesting, and what that lineup does look like is going to be really, really interesting. Who plays with who. There's a lot of moving parts, and it's going to come down to them trying to piece together the best lineup that can score goals for them, because that's a huge, huge problem all year long. But with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.